Hey guys, this is just a quick video about all the rules in Chapter 9.4 so that we can, you already know the rules. There's only a couple different rules. This chapter is about the angles that are formed from secants and tangents. So there's only a few different options that you can have. So the first thing we've already learned. If I were to extend this back a little bit, technically this angle formed right here, I'm going to call it M, is formed from two secants. We already learned that in this case, whatever the intercepted arc is, M is going to be half of it. Well, the same thing goes whenever your vertex is on your circle. So even if you had a tangent and a secant, this angle is going to be half of this arc, no matter how big that angle is. So let me show you another example. If I have a secant going this way, and then a tangent coming this way, this angle is going to be half of the intercepted arc. So let's talk about now the other options. So what about if you had two secants, but they don't intersect in the center of the circle? I'm sorry, they don't intersect on the circle. Instead, they intersect inside the circle, like that. So we're going to say that this is x degrees. Now, in order to find out what x is, all you have to do is find the average of the two arcs that the two secants intercept. So, for example, if this right here was 90 degrees, the arc, and this over here was 10 degrees, then x would be 90 plus 10 divided by 2. Or x would be 50 degrees. Again, when the secants intersect in the middle of the circle, x is going to be the average of these two. So the only other option that you can have is when you have intersections outside the circle. So if I drew my circle, and I had my two secants that intersect outside the circle, and I wanted to know what x was. Instead of finding the average of it, it intercepts two arcs again, but instead of finding the average, what you're going to do is you're going to subtract. So if this was 100, well, actually that's not really 100, we'll say that's about 80. And right here was, say, 10 degrees. To find out x, you would do 80 minus the 10, but you would still divide by 2. So 70 divided by 2, x would be 35 degrees. It's the average, remember, of the two. Same thing happens if you have a tangent and a secant, but the intersection is outside the circle. So here's my tangent, and then my secant is going to go through. Well, the intersection's outside, so to find x, if this over here was 40 degrees, and I'm talking about the arc, and this arc over here was, say, 100 degrees, then what you would do is 100, the bigger minus the smaller, divided by 2. And x would equal 100 minus 40 is 60, divided by 2 is 30 degrees. So that would be 30 degrees. So just remember that the rule is the intersection is outside the circle. You're going to subtract and divide by 2. When the intersection is inside the circle, it's the average of the two arcs it intercepts. And when the intersection is on the circle, it's the rule we already learned. The angle is going to be half of the intercepted arc. And that's Chapter 9.4.